Listen and do not scroll past this moment, because something unusual just happened, something you may not even fully understand yet. Out of everything you could be doing right now, out of every distraction, every notification, every random piece of content flooding your screen, this is what appeared before your eyes. Not later, not tomorrow, not when you have time, but right now. And you need to ask yourself, why? Why did your attention stop here? Why did your spirit feel a slight pause, a pull, a hesitation before skipping? Why does this feel different from everything else you've seen today? This is not coincidence. This is not just another message. This is a divine interruption. There are moments when heaven breaks protocol. Moments when God steps into your routine, not gently but urgently, not subtly but directly. And this is one of those moments. You were not just scrolling, you were being positioned. You were not just watching, you were being summoned. Yes, summoned. Because something is shifting around you, even if you cannot see it yet. Something is forming beneath the surface of your everyday life. Conversations you haven't heard, decisions being made in places you're not present, spiritual movements happening in realms your eyes cannot access. And in the middle of all that unseen activity, I chose this exact moment to reach you. That should make you pause, because God does not interrupt without reason. You felt it lately, haven't you? That strange tension in your chest. The quiet sense that something isn't quite right. The moments where everything looks normal on the outside, but inside something feels off. You brush it off. You tell yourself it's just stress, just overthinking, just another phase. But deep down you know something is different. You know something is building. And you know, even if you can't explain it, that this moment right here feels heavier than it should. That's because your spirit recognizes what your mind is still trying to process. This is not just content. This is connection. This is not just a message. This is a signal. God is not waiting for you to be ready. He is calling you because the timing is ready. And timing's everything. There are moments that pass quietly, and then there are moments that carry consequences. Moments where what you do, or what you ignore, begins to shape what happens next. And this is one of those moments. You didn't land here by accident. You didn't just happen to see this. Out of millions of voices, millions of distractions, millions of messages fighting for your attention, this is the one that stopped you. Because this is the one meant for you. Right now, heaven is closer than you think. Closer than your doubts. Closer than your fears. Closer than the noise that's been surrounding your life. And in this closeness, there is urgency. Not fear, but urgency. Not panic, but precision. Because something is about to unfold. And before it does, you needed to hear this. Not later. Not when it's convenient. But now. This is the kind of moment people look back on and say, I should have paid attention. The kind of moment that feels small at first until everything shifts and you realize it wasn't small at all. It was a turning point. And you are standing in it right now. So don't dismiss this. Don't rush past this. Don't silence this feeling rising inside you. Because that feeling, that pause, that awareness, that is your spirit waking up. God is standing at the edge of your attention, knocking, not softly but firmly. Calling you, not casually but intentionally. And what you do next matters more than you realize. Because this interruption, it came with purpose. It came with timing. And it came for you. Type I am listening in the comments if you feel this moment is meant for you. Blessing code 1111 is now activated around your life. You need to understand something right now, and you need to understand it deeply. This is not just a message you are hearing. This is not just a script being spoken. This is not just words passing through your ears and disappearing into your thoughts. No, this moment is different. There is a presence behind these words. There is a voice beyond the voice. And that voice is not distant, is not far away, is not waiting for you to find it later. It is here, right now, in this very moment, closer than you think. God is not watching you from afar. He is not observing you from some unreachable place. He is standing near your attention, right where you are, right where your thoughts are forming, right where your emotions are reacting. And he is not silent. He is speaking, not casually, not vaguely, but directly to you. You may not hear him with your physical ears, but something inside you is responding. Something inside you paused when this began. Something inside you leaned in, even if your mind tried to brush it off. That is not coincidence. That is recognition. That is your spirit responding to a presence it knows, even when your mind struggles to explain it. Think about it. Out of everything you could be doing right now, out of every distraction fighting for your focus, you are still here listening. Something kept you here. Something told you, wait, don't skip this. That was not random. That was not habit. That was not curiosity alone. That was God pulling your attention. Because when God speaks, he does not always come in thunder. He does not always shake the ground beneath you. Sometimes he comes in a moment like this, quiet, direct, undeniable, in a way that you feel more than you hear. And right now, he is using this very moment, this very message, to reach you in a way you cannot ignore. He sees you. He sees the things you haven't told anyone, the thoughts you keep to yourself, the worries you try to hide behind a normal routine, the questions you've been asking silently, wondering if anyone is listening. Yes, in every moment, every doubt, every hesitation, every time you almost gave up but didn't, every time you felt something was off but couldn't explain it. And now, he is answering you. Not tomorrow, not someday, but right now. You are not alone in this moment. You are not just sitting there, listening to words on a screen. You are being encountered. You are being reached. You are being spoken to in a way that bypasses logic and goes straight into your spirit. That is why this feels intense. That is why this feels personal. That is why it feels like this message is looking directly at you, calling you out, holding your attention in a way that is hard to explain. Because it is. God knows how to reach you in a way nothing else can. He knows how to speak in a way that cuts through distraction, cuts through doubt, cuts through noise, and lands exactly where it needs to. And right now, he is doing exactly that. This is not about fear. This is about awareness. This is not about panic. This is about presence. Because God is not trying to scare you into listening. He is trying to wake you up to the reality that he is closer than you have been acting like. Closer than your worries. Closer than your plans. Closer than your assumptions about how and when he speaks. And right now, he is making it clear he is here. You may have felt distant lately. You may have felt disconnected, like your prayers were not being answered, like your thoughts were just echoing into silence. But this moment is breaking that illusion. This moment is showing you something important he never left. You were just not paying attention. But now, your attention has been captured. Now, your focus has been redirected. Now, your spirit is alert in a way it hasn't been for a while. And that is exactly why this moment matters so much. Because when God gets your attention like this, it is never without purpose. He is not just speaking to fill silence. He is not just reaching out without reason. There is something He needs you to understand. Something He needs you to see. Something He needs you to respond to. And the fact that you are still here, still listening, still feeling this pull means you are already responding, even if you don't fully realize it yet. This is the moment where everything slows down, where distractions fade, where your focus sharpens, where your spirit begins to align with something greater than your routine, greater than your plans, greater than your expectations. God is not distant right now. He is present. He is intentional. And He is speaking directly to you. So do not treat this like background noise. Do not treat this like something you can revisit later. Because this moment is not repeating itself in the same way. This moment is happening now, with purpose, with timing, and with precision. And the question is no longer whether God is speaking. The question is, are you truly listening? Type "I am aware" in the comments if you feel God's presence right now. Blessing code 2222 is now surrounding your life. Listen carefully, because this is the part most people try to avoid. This is the part where your instinct may tell you to scroll, to dismiss, to say, "I'll come back to this later." But that instinct is exactly what you must not follow right now. Because what is being revealed in this moment is not comfortable, but it is necessary. And if you ignore it, if you brush this off, if you treat this like just another passing message, you will feel the impact of that decision sooner than you think. This is not about fear, but it is about consequence. There are moments in life where your choices quietly shape your future over time, slowly, almost unnoticeably. And then there are moments like this where the choice is immediate, where the impact is near, where what you do right now begins to echo into tomorrow. And you are standing in one of those moments. You've been sensing something lately, haven't you? A shift you cannot explain. A weight that comes and goes. A feeling that something is about to change, but you cannot see how or when. You try to ignore it. You distract yourself. You keep moving forward like everything is normal. But deep inside, there is a quiet awareness something is not aligned. This is the warning. Not because something bad is being forced upon you, but because something important is being missed. And when something important is missed, the result is not random. It is the natural outcome of ignoring what was meant to guide you. God does not send warnings to punish you. He sends them to prepare you. But preparation requires attention. And attention requires obedience. If you skip this moment, if you decide this is not important enough, if you tell yourself, "I'll deal with it later," you are not just delaying a message, you are stepping out of alignment with what is trying to protect you. Because this message is not here to entertain you. It is here to position you. It is here to adjust something before it unfolds. Tomorrow is not just another day. Tomorrow is a continuation of what you choose right now. And if you ignore this moment, tomorrow will carry the weight of that decision. Not as punishment, but as consequence. Because when guidance is ignored, clarity is lost. When clarity is lost, confusion grows. And when confusion grows, decisions begin to shift in ways that you do not realize until it is too late. This is why the urgency is real. Not exaggerated. Not dramatic. Real. Because there is something forming just ahead of you. Something that requires your awareness. Something that requires you to be alert, to be grounded, to be aligned. And if you move into tomorrow without that alignment, you will feel it. You will sense it. You will experience the effects of walking into a moment unprepared. That is what you are being warned about. You may not see the full picture yet, and you are not meant to. But you are meant to trust the signal. You are meant to recognize that this moment is not ordinary. That this pause, this feeling, this pull to listen is not something to ignore. Because ignoring it does not make it disappear. It only removes your advantage. God is not trying to control you. He is trying to guide you. But guidance only works when it is received, when it is acknowledged, when it is acted upon. And right now, you are being given a choice. Not a loud, dramatic choice, but a quiet, powerful one. To listen or to ignore. To respond or to delay. To align or to continue as you were. And the truth is, most people will ignore this. Most people will scroll past. Most people will feel this moment for a second and then push it away, choosing comfort over awareness. But you are still here. You are still listening. Which means something inside you already knows this matters. That is your confirmation. That is your signal. Because you would not still be here if this was not meant for you. So take this seriously. Not with fear, but with focus. Not with panic, but with awareness. Because what happens next is not random. It is connected to this moment. It is connected to your response. It is connected to whether you choose to pay attention or pretend this never reached you. This is your warning. And it came before the moment that requires it. Type "I do not ignore" in the comments if you choose to stay aligned. Blessing code 3333 is now activated around your path. As you stand in this moment of warning and awareness, understand this: every time a message like this reaches a soul at the right time, it becomes a seed planted in eternity. When you choose to support this mission through Super Thanks or the PayPal link in the description, you are not giving to a video, you are helping light reach someone who is still in darkness, someone who is still waiting for their moment like this. The word says that when you sow, you will reap, and right now, your seed becomes a river flowing into lives that need awakening, clarity, and divine direction. I feel led to say this clearly. This is your moment to act, not later, not someday, but now. What you release in faith will return multiplied in ways you cannot yet see. Every contribution becomes oil that keeps this light burning for others. Step into this act of obedience and give with intention. There is something you must understand about timing, and you must understand it now, before you move any further into what is coming next. Not all moments carry the same weight. Not all hours are equal. There are ordinary times and then there are appointed times. Moments that are marked. Moments that are set apart. Moments where something shifts not because of what you see, but because of what has already been decided in the unseen. And right now, you are standing inside one of those moments. That is why the time matters. 11:59 p.m. is not just a number. It is not just the end of a day on a clock. It is a threshold. It is a line between what has been and what is about to begin. It is the final moment before transition. And in the spiritual realm, transitions are never casual. They are precise. They are intentional. They are moments where alignment either happens or is missed. You may be wondering, why this specific time? Why does it feel so urgent, so exact, so narrow? Because when something is about to shift, there is always a window. A window where attention is required. A window where awareness must rise. A window where you are given the opportunity to respond before the next phase begins. And once that window closes, the moment does not repeat itself in the same way. That is what makes this serious. Because you are not just being asked to listen. You are being asked to recognize the moment you are in. Think about it. How many times have you said, "I'll do it later"? How many times have you felt something was important, but you delayed it, pushed it aside, convinced yourself that there would always be more time. And sometimes there is more time. But sometimes there isn't. Sometimes the delay becomes the reason something doesn't unfold the way it was meant to. This is one of those moments where delay matters. 11:59 p.m. represents the final opportunity within a cycle that is closing. A cycle you may not even fully see yet, but one that has been forming around you for days, weeks, maybe even longer. Patterns, thoughts, situations, decisions all leading to this point. And now, you are being given a moment to become aware before that cycle completes itself. Because once it completes, what follows is not random. It is the result of everything that led up to it. This is why you feel the urgency in this message. This is why it does not feel casual. This is why it does not feel like something you can just revisit later. Because later may not carry the same opportunity that exists right now. You are being placed in front of a spiritual clock, and that clock is not waiting for convenience. It is moving with purpose. Every second, every minute, bringing you closer to a shift that will happen whether you are ready or not. And the only question is, will you meet that shift prepared, or will you step into it unaware? God does not rush you without reason. He does not press urgency without purpose. When urgency appears, it is because something ahead requires your attention now, not later. And if you ignore that urgency, you are not stopping what is coming. You are simply choosing to meet it without the clarity you were meant to have. That is the reality of this moment. You are not being forced. You are being invited. But this invitation has timing. This invitation has a window. This invitation has a closing point. And 11:59 p.m. represents that closing point. After that, the day shifts. The cycle changes. The moment passes. And what follows begins to unfold based on the position you carry into it. Whether you are aligned or distracted, aware or unaware, grounded or uncertain. This is why you cannot treat this lightly. Because you are not just listening to words. You are standing at the edge of a transition. And transitions reveal things. They expose what is aligned and what is not. They bring clarity to what was hidden. They amplify what has been building beneath the surface. And if you enter that moment without awareness, without preparation, without alignment, you will feel the difference. Not because something is being done to you, but because something was meant to prepare you, and it was ignored. Right now, you still have time. Right now, you are still within the window. Right now, you are still being given the chance to pause, to focus, to recognize what is happening and respond to it with intention. But this will not last forever. The clock is moving. A moment is approaching. The shift is coming. And what you do before that final minute matters more than you realize. So do not delay. Do not push this aside. Do not convince yourself that this can wait. Because the very nature of this moment is that it cannot be repeated once it passes. You are here now for a reason. You are hearing this now for a reason. And the time connected to this message is part of that reason. Type "I honor the time" in the comments if you are choosing awareness over delay. Lesson code 4444 is now activated around your timing. There is something happening around you right now that you cannot see with your eyes, and yet you have felt it over and over again. It has shown up in small moments, in subtle shifts, in emotions that seem to rise without warning. You have tried to explain it logically. You have told yourself it is just stress, just life, just your imagination. But deep inside, there has always been a quiet knowing that something more is going on. And you were right. Because not everything that affects your life is visible. Not every battle announces itself loudly. Some battles move in silence. They unfold behind conversations you are not part of. They develop in decisions made without your knowledge. They exist in the unseen spaces between what you feel and what you understand. And right now, you are in the middle of one of those battles. This is the hidden battle. It is not obvious. It does not come with clear signs. It does not always show itself in dramatic ways. Instead, it works through subtle disruption. A sudden feeling of confusion when you were clear. A moment of hesitation when you were confident. A distraction that pulls you away from something important at exactly the wrong time. These are not random occurrences. These are patterns. And patterns reveal something deeper. There has been movement around your life that you have not fully recognized. Situations shifting in ways that do not quite make sense. People acting slightly different than before. Energy changing in spaces that once felt familiar. It is not loud enough to alarm you immediately, but it is consistent enough that you cannot completely ignore it. That is the hidden layer. Because what you see on the surface is not the full story. There are influences, decisions, and alignments forming beneath what is visible. And while you continue with your routine, thinking everything is as it appears, something else is quietly taking shape. This is why awareness matters. Because when you are unaware, you move without understanding. You respond without clarity. You make decisions based on incomplete information. And that is how moments slip by, not because you were careless, but because you did not see the full picture. Right now, something is building. You may not be able to name it yet. You may not be able to describe it fully. But you have felt the signs. The slight tension. The unexpected thoughts. The moments where you pause and wonder, why does this feel different? That is not your imagination. That is your awareness trying to wake up. There are forces in life that operate through distraction, through delay, through subtle misdirection. Not everything that pulls your attention is harmless. Not everything that seems small is insignificant. Sometimes the smallest distractions carry the biggest impact because they shift your focus at the exact moment you need it most. And that is what has been happening. Your focus has been tested. Your awareness has been challenged. Your attention has been pulled in multiple directions, not by accident, but by design. Because if your attention is scattered, you cannot see clearly. If you cannot see clearly, you cannot respond correctly. And if you cannot respond correctly, you begin to move out of alignment without even realizing it. That is how hidden battles work. They do not attack directly. They influence quietly. They redirect subtly. They wait for moments where you are distracted, tired, or uncertain, and they use those moments to create shifts that seem small at first, but grow over time. And now, you are being made aware of it. Not to scare you, but to prepare you. Because awareness changes everything. The moment you become aware, you begin to see patterns you ignored before. You begin to notice details that once seemed insignificant. You begin to understand why certain moments fell off, why certain situations did not align, why certain choices felt heavier than they should have. This is the awakening, and it is happening now because it needs to. Something ahead requires you to be aware, not passive. Focused, not distracted. You're out and uncertain. And if you continue moving forward without recognizing what is happening around you, you risk stepping into that moment without the clarity you need. That is why this message reached you. Because you are not meant to walk blindly into what is coming. You are meant to see it. You are meant to feel it. You are meant to understand that there is more happening than what is visible. Right now, you are being given an advantage. The advantage of awareness. The the advantage of clarity, the advantage of seeing what others might ignore. And what you do with that awareness will determine how you move forward from this moment. Because the battle may be hidden, but your response does not have to be. Type ISE clearly in the comments if you are stepping into awareness. Blessing code 5555 is now activated around your vision. Be honest with yourself for a moment. You almost skipped this. There was a second, maybe even less than a second, where your thumb hesitated, where your mind said, "I don't have time for this," or "I'll come back later," or "This is probably nothing important." That moment was small, almost unnoticeable, but it was real. And if you had followed it, you would not be here right now. It matters more than you realize. Because that moment was not random. It was a test of your attention. Distractions do not always come in obvious forms. They do not always look like chaos or noise or something clearly pulling you away. Sometimes they come as simple thoughts, subtle suggestions, quiet impulses that feel like your own voice, telling you to delay, to dismiss, to move on. And that is exactly how they work. Because if the distraction feels natural, you do not question it. If it feels like your own decision, you follow it without resistance. And that is how important moments are missed, not by force, but by suggestion. Right now, you are being shown something most people never stop to notice. You were almost redirected. Your attention was almost taken away at the exact moment it needed to stay. And if that had happened, this entire message, this entire moment, this entire awareness would have been missed. Think about how often that happens in your life. How many times have you felt a pull to do something important, but something small got in the way? A distraction, a delay, a thought that said later, and later never came. The moment passed. The opportunity faded. And you moved on without fully realizing what you missed. This is the pattern. And it has been happening more than you think. Distractions are not always about keeping you busy. They are about keeping you misaligned. They are about shifting your focus at the exact moment when clarity is trying to reach you. Because if your focus moves, even slightly, you miss the connection. You miss the signal. You miss the awareness that was meant to guide you. And right now, you are being shown that pattern clearly. Because this moment always became an utter miss moment. But it didn't. You are still here. Which means something inside you resisted the distraction. Something inside you chose to stay. And that is important. Because it shows that your awareness is waking up. You are starting to notice the difference between what pulls you away and what is trying to guide you forward. And that difference changes everything. Because once you see how distractions operate, they lose their power. Once you recognize that not every thought is meant to be followed, not every impulse is meant to be trusted, you begin to move differently. You begin to pause. You begin to question. You begin to choose your focus instead of letting it be chosen for you. That is what is happening right now. You are shifting from passive to aware, from reactive to intentional, from distracted to focus. And this shift is not small, because what is coming next in your life will require that level of focus. It will require you to recognize distractions for what they are, not just harmless interruptions, but moments that can redirect your path if you are not paying attention. You cannot afford to move through what is ahead on autopilot. You cannot afford to let small distractions decide your direction. Because those small distractions are never as small as they seem. They come at specific moments. They appear at precise times. They show up exactly when something important is trying to reach you. Just like now. You almost skipped this. But you didn't. And that decision, even though it felt small, is already placing you in a different position than you would have been otherwise. That is how powerful attention is. That is how powerful awareness is. And that is why this moment matters. Because now that you see it, you cannot unsee it. Now that you understand it, you cannot go back to ignoring it. You know what it feels like when something is trying to pull you away. And you know what it feels like when something is trying to hold your attention for a reason. And from this point forward, that awareness becomes your responsibility. Because distractions will still come. Thoughts will still try to redirect you. Moments will still test your focus. But now you will recognize them. Now you will see them for what they are. And now you will have the choice to stay aligned instead of being pulled away. That is the shift. That is the lesson. And that is why you are still here. Type I stay focused in the comments if you are choosing awareness over distraction. Blessing code 6666 is now activated around your focus. There is a reason this moment found you, and it goes deeper than timing, deeper than coincidence, deeper than anything you may have assumed up until now. Because this is not just about a message reaching you. This is about why it reached you. Out of all the people who could have seen this, out of all the moments this could have appeared, it aligned with you, your attention, your awareness, your exact position in life right now. That is not random. That is assignment. You have to understand something that most people never stop to consider. Not everyone is called into moments like this. Not everyone feels this level of pull, this level of awareness, this sense that something important is happening beneath the surface. Many people will pass by moments like this without a second thought. Many will dismiss it, ignore it, or never even notice it at all. What you did, you paused, you stayed, you listened, and that reveals something about you. It reveals that you are not moving through life the same way everyone else is. There is a level of sensitivity in you, a level of awareness, a level of connection that makes you notice what others overlook. You feel shifts before they are obvious. You sense things before they are visible. You recognize moments when something is different, even if you cannot explain why. That is not a weakness. That is your assignment. Because being aware means you are meant to respond differently. Being sensitive to shifts means you are meant to act when others hesitate. Being able to feel what is not immediately visible means you are meant to move with a level of understanding that goes beyond what is obvious. And that comes with responsibility. You were not placed in this moment just to observe it. You were placed here to recognize it, to understand it, and to respond to it. Because when awareness is given to you, it is not for nothing. It is because there is something ahead that requires it. Think about your life up to this point. How many times have you felt like you were seeing things others did not? How many times have you sensed something was off before it became clear? How many times have you felt like you were ahead of a situation emotionally or mentally, even when everything around you seemed normal? Those moments were not accidental. They were preparation. Preparation for moments like this. Because what is ahead of you is not something you are meant to walk into blindly. It is not something you are meant to react to without understanding. It is something you are meant to meet with awareness, with clarity, with intention. And that is why you were chosen for this moment. Not because you are perfect, not because you have everything figured out, but because you are willing to notice, willing to listen, willing to pause when something feels different instead of ignoring it. That willingness is what sets you apart. And that is why this message reached you. Because when something important is about to unfold, it does not reach those who are not ready to receive it. It reaches those who are positioned to understand it, even if they do not fully realize it yet. You are being positioned right now. positioned to see what others might miss, positioned to understand what others might overlook, positioned to respond in a way that keeps you aligned with what is coming next. And that positioning is not casual, it is intentional, because your role in what is unfolding is not passive. You are not just watching things happen around you. You are part of how things unfold for you. Your awareness, your decisions, your focus, they all contribute to the direction you move in from this point forward. That is what assignment means. It means you are not just existing in this moment. You are participating in it. You are influencing what comes next through how you respond now. And that is why this cannot be ignored. Because ignoring it is not just ignoring a message. It is ignoring the role you are meant to play in your own alignment. Right now, you are being given clarity. Right now, you are being given awareness. Right now, you are being reminded that you are not here by accident, not in this moment, not in this situation, not at this time. There is purpose in where you are. There is intention in what you are experiencing. And there is meaning behind why you are hearing this now. You were chosen to recognize it, chosen to respond to it, chosen to move forward with a level of awareness that will change how you experience what comes next. And the moment you accept that, everything begins to shift. Because you stop seeing this as coincidence, and you start seeing it as direction. Type "I am chosen" in the comments if you accept your assignment. Blessing code 7777 is now activated around your purpose. There comes a moment in every path where everything that has been building quietly beneath the surface reaches a point where it can no longer remain the same. A moment where what has been tolerated, ignored, delayed, or pushed aside demands to be confronted. Not later, not eventually, but now. And you are standing in that moment. This is the breaking point. Not a breaking point of destruction, but a breaking point of decision. Because up until now, you have been moving between awareness and distraction, between clarity and hesitation, between knowing and delaying. You have seen glimpses of what needs to change. You have felt the pull to adjust something, to shift something, to release something. But each time, there has been a pause. A moment where you told yourself, "I'll deal with it later." A moment where you chose comfort over action. But now, that space for delay is closing. Because what is ahead of you cannot be entered the same way you have been moving until now. Something must change. And you already know what it is. It is that thought you keep pushing away. That feeling you keep dismissing. That situation you keep tolerating even though it does not sit right with you. The habit, that mindset, that pattern that has followed you longer than it should have. You have been aware of it. You have felt it. You have recognized it in quiet moments when everything else fades and the truth becomes clear. But awareness alone is not enough. Action is required. Because awareness without action keeps you in the same place. It gives you the illusion of understanding without the reality of change. And right now, you are being called beyond awareness into alignment. That means something has to be released. Something has to be adjusted. Something has to be faced directly instead of avoided. This is where most people step back. This is where most people hesitate. Because change is not comfortable. It requires you to let go of what is familiar, even if that familiarity is holding you back. It requires you to move forward without having every answer, trusting that the step itself is what creates the clarity you are waiting for. And that is exactly what this moment is asking of you. Not perfection, not certainty, but movement. Because the breaking point is not about everything falling apart. It is about everything refusing to stay the same. You cannot carry the same mindset into what is coming next. You cannot hold on to the same patterns and expect a different outcome. You cannot stay in the same position and step into a new direction at the same time. Something must shift, and that shift begins with a decision. A decision to stop delaying what you already know needs to be addressed. A decision to stop ignoring what has been consistently showing itself to you. A decision to stop waiting for the perfect moment and recognize that this is the moment. Because moments like this do not come repeatedly in the same way. They come with clarity. They come with urgency. They come with a sense that something is about to change, whether you are ready or not. And the only question is, will you move with that change, or will you resist it? Right now, you still have control over that answer. Right now, you still have the ability to choose alignment over delay. Right now, you are being given the awareness, the clarity, and the moment to act. But this will not remain open forever. Because once the shift happens, once the next phase begins, you will no longer be deciding from the same position. You will be responding to what is already unfolding. That is why this matters now. Because now is when you set your position. Now is when you decide what you carry forward and what you leave behind. Now is when you stop standing between two directions and commit to one. This is the breaking point, and it is not here to stop you. It is here to move you. So do not hesitate. Do not step back. Do not convince yourself that this can wait. Because the longer you delay what you already know needs to change, the heavier it becomes, and the harder it is to move when the moment finally forces it. Right now, you have the opportunity to move before that happens. Take it. Because this moment is not here to repeat itself. It is here to transform you. Type "I choose to shift" in the comments if you are ready to move forward. Blessing code 8888 is now activated around your transformation. As you stand at this breaking point, understand that every act of obedience you take becomes a ripple that reaches beyond you. When you support this mission through Super Thanks, or the PayPal link in the description, you are not just giving, you are sowing into a movement that awakens others at their own moment of decision. The word declares that those who plant in faith will harvest in abundance, and right now, your seed becomes light in someone else's darkness, clarity in someone else's confusion. I feel this strongly. This is not a casual moment to wait. It is a divine moment to act. As you respond, heaven responds. As you release, doors begin to open. Step into this act of faith and give with purpose, knowing that what you sow today will return multiplied in your life. In the middle of everything, you are beginning to understand in the awareness, the urgency, the shift that is forming around you. There is something you must not forget, something you must hold on to with certainty, not doubt. You are not alone in this moment. Not now, not before, not in what is coming next. Because while you have been trying to figure things out, while you have been navigating confusion, hesitation, and change, there has been something constant around you that you may not have fully recognized. Protection. Not loud, not always visible, but present. There have been moments in your life where things could have gone differently. Situations that could have unfolded in ways that would have left you in a completely different position than you are in now. Decisions that, if taken slightly differently, could have led you somewhere you were never meant to go. Encounters that did not turn into what they could have become. Delays that frustrated you at the time but now, looking back, make more sense. That was not luck. That was not coincidence. That was protection. And it has been with you longer than you realize. Even in moments where you felt alone, where you questioned whether anyone was guiding you, where you wondered if you were just moving through everything by yourself. There was something holding things in place, something preventing certain outcomes, something redirecting paths in ways you did not fully understand at the time. That presence has not left. It is still here. And right now, as you stand in this moment of awareness, of urgency, of decision, that protection is not distant, is active. Because when moments like this occur, when shifts are about to happen, when awareness begins to rise, protection does not decrease. It increases. Not because something is trying to harm you, but because something is trying to prepare you. And preparation requires support. You are not expected to figure everything out on your own. You are not expected to carry the weight of every decision, every realization, every change without guidance. That is not how this works. Because if you were meant to do this alone, you would not have been brought to this moment in the first place. There is a reason you were guided here. There is a reason your attention was held. There is a reason you are still listening. Because you are being supported in ways you cannot fully see yet. And that support is not passive. It is active in your awareness. It is active in the way you are beginning to see things more clearly. It is active in the way certain thoughts are becoming stronger while others are fading. It is active in the way you are being nudged toward focus, toward clarity, toward alignment. This is not something you have to create. It is something you have to recognize. Because once you recognize that you are protected, something shifts inside you. The hesitation begins to fade. The fear of making the wrong move begins to quiet. The pressure to have everything figured out begins to lift. Because you realize you are not moving blindly. You are moving with support. That does not mean everything will feel easy. It does not mean there will be no uncertainty. But it does mean that you are not exposed. You are not vulnerable in the way you may have felt before. You are not stepping into what is ahead without anything guiding or holding you. You are covered. And the covering is not something you earn in this moment. It is something that has been with you, something that has been guiding you here, something that has been shaping your path even when you did not realize it. Right now, you are becoming aware of it. And that awareness changes how you move. Because when you know you are protected, you stop second-guessing every step. You stop assuming that every decision is a risk. You begin to trust the direction you are being pulled in, not because you have all the answers, but because you understand that you are not navigating alone. That is what you need to hold on to right now. Not fear, not doubt, but certainty. Certainty that you are not facing this moment by yourself. Certainty that what is guiding you to listen, to stay, to pay attention is the same thing that will guide you forward from here. Certainty that the shift that is coming is not something you are unprepared for, because you are already being supported in ways you are only just beginning to understand. So do not let uncertainty make you forget what is true. Do not let hesitation make you question what has already been shown to you. Because right now, in this exact moment, you are not just aware, you are covered. And that changes everything. Type "I am protected" in the comments if you trust the protection around you. Blessing code 9999 is now activated around your life. Now everything comes down to this moment, not the awareness, not the warning, not even the understanding you have gained so far. All of that was preparation. All of that was leading you here. Because awareness without response changes nothing. Understanding without action leaves everything exactly where it was. And right now, you are standing in the space where a decision must be made. This is the test. Not a test of knowledge. Not a test of strength. But a test of obedience. Because obedience is not about perfection. It is not about having every answer or feeling completely ready. It is about what you choose to do when something inside you knows what is right, even if it is uncomfortable, even if it requires change, even if it means stepping out of what is familiar. That is where most people hesitate. They wait for clarity to feel complete. They wait for certainty to feel absolute. They wait for the perfect moment where everything makes sense and there is no risk in moving forward. But that moment rarely comes, because obedience is not built on complete certainty. It is built on trust. Trust in what you have already been shown. Trust in what you have already felt. Trust in what has been made clear to you, even if it is not fully explained. And right now, you have been shown enough. You have felt enough. You have understood enough to make a decision. But the question is, will you act on it? Or will you delay it? Because delay is the quiet form of disobedience that feels harmless. It feels safe. It feels reasonable. You tell yourself, I'm not ignoring it, I'm just waiting. But waiting without purpose is not alignment. It is avoidance. And avoidance always comes at a cost. Not immediately. Not always in a way that is obvious. But eventually, it shows up as missed timing, as confusion, as the feeling that something did not unfold the way it could have. And when that happens, it is not because the opportunity was not there. It is because the response did not match the moment. This is why this matters now. Because you are not being asked to do something random. You are being asked to respond to what you already know needs to change. What you already feel needs your attention. What you have been quietly aware of, even before this message confirmed it. That is the test. Will you respond to what you already know, or will you continue to delay it? Because if you respond, something shifts immediately. Not everything around you, not every situation, but something inside you. Your position changes. Your alignment changes. Your direction begins to move in a way that matches what is ahead of you. But if you delay, nothing changes. You stay in the same place. You carry the same awareness without acting on it. You continue forward with the same hesitation that has kept you from fully stepping into what you already feel you are meant to do. And that is where most people remain. Not because they do not understand, but because they do not act. You are not most people. You have already shown that by staying here, by listening, by allowing this moment to hold your attention when it would have been easier to move on. That means something inside you is ready. Ready to move differently. Ready to choose differently. Ready to respond instead of delay. But readiness alone is not enough. It has to become action. Because action is what turns awareness into change. Right now, the moment is still open. Right now, you still have the ability to respond without pressure, without being forced by circumstances, without being pushed by consequences. You are being given the opportunity to move willingly, to choose alignment before alignment becomes necessary. That is a gift. Because once the moment passes, once the next phase begins, the choice does not disappear, but it becomes different. It becomes reactive instead of proactive. It becomes something you respond to instead of something you initiate. And that is not where you want to be. You want to move before you have to. You want to respond before you are forced to. You want to align while the opportunity is still clear and present. That is what obedience looks like in this moment. Not dramatic, not complicated, but intentional. It is choosing to act on what you already know. It is choosing to move forward instead of staying still. It is choosing to trust the awareness you have been given instead of questioning it until it fades. This is your test, and you already know the answer. Now it is about whether you will follow through with it. Because what happens next depends on what you choose now. Type "I respond now" in the comments if you choose action over delay. Blessing code 1010 is now activated around your decisions. Everything you have heard so far, every moment of awareness, every pause, every realization had been leading to this understanding. Because what is coming is not distant. It is not weeks away. It is not something that will slowly unfold over time without you noticing. It is close, closer than you think, and it is connected directly to what you do right now. Tomorrow is not just another day. It is a continuation of this moment, and that is where everything becomes clear. Because tomorrow will reveal something. It will bring something to the surface. It will carry a shift that you will feel, whether you expect it or not. And that shift will not be random. It will not be disconnected from what you are experiencing right now. You will be the result of alignment or the result of ignoring it. That is why this moment matters so much. Because you are not just preparing for something abstract. You are preparing for something immediate. Something that will meet you where you are, in your thoughts, in your actions, in your environment. And when it does, you will recognize it. You will feel it. You will know that it is connected to this exact moment. The question is, how will you meet it? Because there are two paths forming in front of you right now. One path leads to clarity. The other leads to confusion. One path leads to alignment. The other leads to hesitation. One path leads to breakthrough. The other leads to a moment where you feel like something is off. Like something did not unfold the way it should have, like something was missed. And the difference between those paths is not luck. It is response. If you choose to respond now, if you choose to act on what you already know, if you choose to stay aligned with the awareness you have been given, tomorrow will feel different. Not necessarily easier, not necessarily perfect, but clearer. You will move through it with a sense of understanding. You will recognize what is happening as it unfolds. You will feel grounded instead of uncertain. That is breakthrough. Not something dramatic or overwhelming, but a shift in how you experience what is happening around you. A sense that you are in the right place, responding in the right way, moving with clarity instead of reacting in confusion. But if you ignore this moment, if you delay, if you tell yourself that this is not urgent, that this can wait, tomorrow will still come. The shift will still happen, but you will meet it differently. You will feel it without understanding it. You will sense something is off, but not know why. You will react instead of respond. That is where confusion grows. Not because something is being done to you, but because something meant to prepare you was not received. That is the difference. And it is entirely within your control right now. You are not being left to chance. You are not being placed in a situation where you have no influence over what happens next. You are being given awareness ahead of time. You are being given clarity before the moment arrives. You are being given the opportunity to position yourself before the shift happens. That is what makes this powerful. Because most people do not get this. Most people move into moments blindly, reacting as things happen, trying to figure things out as they go. But you are being shown something in advance. You are being given the chance to prepare internally before anything external changes. And that preparation changes everything. It changes how you think. It changes how you respond. It changes how you move. Because when the moment arrives, you are not caught off guard. You are ready. That is what tomorrow can be for you. A moment of clarity instead of confusion. A moment of alignment instead of hesitation. A moment where you recognize what is happening and move with it, instead of feeling like you are trying to catch up to something you do not fully understand. But that only happens if you choose it now. Because tomorrow is not separate from today. It is built from it. And right now, you are building how you will experience what is coming next. So take this seriously, not with fear, but with focus, not with pressure, but with intention. Because what is about to unfold is not something you can stop, but it is something you can be prepared for. And preparation begins with your response in this moment. Type "I choose breakthrough" in the comments if you are aligning yourself for what's coming. Blessing code 1112 is now activated around your tomorrow. Is it? Everything you have felt, everything you have heard, everything that has been building inside you throughout this message has led to this exact moment. Not a moment of confusion, not a moment of hesitation, but a moment of decision. Because after awareness comes responsibility. After understanding comes action. And right now, you cannot return to where you were before this began. Something inside you has shifted. You feel it. You know it. You cannot unhear what you have just heard. You cannot pretend this moment did not reach you. You can't go back to moving the same way, thinking the same way, delaying the same things you have been delaying. Because now you know. And knowing changes everything. This is where most people turn away. This is where most people feel the weight of the moment and choose to ignore it, to distract themselves, to convince themselves that it was not that important. They go back to what is familiar, back to what is comfortable, back to what requires no change. But you are still here. And that means something. It means you are not meant to walk away from this moment unchanged. It means you are not meant to return to the same patterns, the same delays, the same hesitation that kept you in the same place. It means this is your moment to decide. Not tomorrow. Not later. Now. Because the truth is simple, even if it feels heavy. You already know what you need to do. It is not hidden from you. It is not something you need more time to figure out. It is something that has been shown to you clearly, repeatedly, consistently. And now, you are being asked to act on it. This is the final call. Not a call of fear. Not a call of pressure. But a call of clarity. A call that says you are ready. A call that says you have seen enough. A call that says, do not delay any longer. Because delay is no longer neutral. Delay is a decision. And if you choose to delay now, you are choosing to remain where you are, to carry the same weight, to face the same patterns, to experience the same cycles that have been repeating. But if you choose to act, everything begins to shift. Not all at once. Not instantly. But in a way that sets everything in motion. Because action creates movement. Movement creates change. And change creates the path you have been waiting for. This is your turning point. The moment where you stop waiting for something outside of you to change, and you become the one who changes direction. The moment where you stop questioning what you already know, and you begin to follow it. A moment where you stop standing between two choices, and you commit to one. And once you do that, everything ahead of you begins to align differently. Because alignment is not something that happens to you. It is something you step into. Right now, the door is open. Right now, the moment is clear. Right now, the choice is yours. And once this moment passes, it will not come back in the same way. So do not treat it lightly. Do not let it fade. Do not let it become something you say you will come back to. Because you are already here. And this is already your moment. All that remains is your decision. Type "I decide" now in the comments if you are stepping into your next chapter. Blessing code 1212 is now activated around your life. As you step into this moment of decision, understand this truth: every soul awakened, every life redirected, every moment like this is not just heard, It is multiplied through those who choose to act. When you give through Super Thanks or the PayPal link in the description, you are not supporting a channel. You are sowing into a harvest of transformation that reaches hearts at their exact moment of need. The Word declares that what you plant in faith returns pressed down, shaken together, and overflowing. And right now, your seed becomes light in someone's darkness, direction in someone's confusion, hope in someone's breaking point. I feel this strongly. This is your moment to move, not to hesitate. As you release, heaven responds. As you give, doors begin to open in ways you cannot predict. Step into this act of obedience now and sow with purpose, because what you release today will return multiplied into your life.